Hi everyone, welcome to Practically. We bring learning alive. So today we are going to talk about morphology of flowering plants. Now, this chapter is one of the most important chapters when it comes to NEET. It has a lot of different things. It has a lot of different uh, angles to it. It has different angles for it has for leaves, it has flowers, it has fruits. It's like a mixture of chapters, just basic ideas of everything. Now, the other thing which you have to note in this chapter is there are some very important parts in this chapters like floral formula. Each and every year, you will for sure get the floral formula, a question from floral formula in NEET. Apart from that, you can get inflorescence-based questions. You can get some leaf-based questions. So you cannot just guess what will come and what will not come. All you have to do is just read it properly and go through the questions properly, especially previous year questions. So what will happen is you'll get an idea that if it's working properly, like if you actually are getting it, it's a bit difficult to understand also sometimes. Okay. And what you have to do is remember the types of leaves, the types of inflorescence, the types of like seeds and everything. So that is what you have to do. Okay. So enough chit chat. What we'll do today is I'll just show what and all is there in the chapter, and then we'll discuss some kind of questions, some PYQs especially. So you'll get an idea what is actually happening. Okay, so let's get started. Now, morphology of flowering plants, when it comes to morphology of flowering plants, morphology means what? The external characters, what and all are there in the plants. Okay, so of course it will start with root. Okay, so if we go from bottom to the top, okay, it will go start from root. Root is where we get the water, and it gets the water and the minerals and everything. Okay, then there are the stems. Okay, stem is where you find all the tissues which make sure that whatever the food, the water, the minerals, whatever it is, it reaches in different parts of the plants. Okay, it even sometimes it even goes through photosynthesis also. Okay, in special cases. So that is what stems are. Then there is leaf. Leaf, though we all know, okay, leaf is what provides photosynthesis. Okay, that is where it is the kitchen of our plants. Okay, the kitchen in the plant are the leaves. That is where food is being made with the help of photosynthesis. Then there is inflorescence, the way in which the plants are actually the leaves, the fruit, like the flowers are placed in a plant is what is inflorescence. Then there is flower. Flower is where the reproduction takes place. The fruit, the actual after reproduction, what is formed is the fruit. And finally, the seed which actually helps in the reproduction, like it helps in the formation or not actually reproduction, it's like the formation of a new plant. Okay, so this and all are what you can actually see in morphology of plants. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll not go very inside the chapters and I'll talk about everything. That will take a lot of time. So what we'll do is quickly see what and all are there in the morphology in this chapter, and then we'll jump onto the question section. Okay, so characteristics of roots, everybody knows this is how the roots look. Okay, everybody knows how it is. Okay, from when you consider a seed. Okay, so when you're considering a seed, you have two parts. There's a radicle and there is a plumule. That is before a plant is being formed. When a seedling, you plant a seedling, okay, there are two parts. There is a radicle, there is a plumule. So radicle is what, root is what comes out of the radicle, and it moves towards the soil. It goes downward. Okay, it's like going through the gravity, like how gravity pulls everything, like that it comes down. Okay, so it's non-green and it's underground most of the times. Okay, and every time I'm saying most of the times because there are always exceptions. Okay, it's positively geotropic, as I said, it goes down. Negatively phototropic, because see, phototropic means towards the sunlight or towards some kind of light, but it is going down. Okay, it's not going up. Okay, so that is why it is negatively phototropic. And positively hydrotropic, because this is the one, the roots are the ones which are actually sucking up the water and the minerals and everything, and then putting it up, okay, via the tissue, xylem, phloem, whatever. Okay, so roots do not bear buds. Okay, nothing is coming out of the roots. Roots are just roots. Roots are not giving birth to plants, or like roots are not giving birth to leaves or flowers or anything. So it does not bear any buds. They do not have nodes and internodes, and they have unicellular root hairs. Unicellular root hairs are there for mostly for sometimes protection, sometimes absorption of water and everything. Root hairs, they themselves, they have a lot of what to say, a lot of functions. Okay, so types of roots, when you modify a root, how are the different types of roots? So there is tap root, which is mostly found in dicot plants, okay, which helps in storage of food and respiration, etc. And then there is adventitious roots. These are mostly found in monocot plants, okay, monocotyledonous plants, and it helps in storage of food, support, special functions, etc. So this is how, as I said, everything, each and everything has an exception. So when it comes to roots, there are modifications. Sometimes they store food, sometimes they help in respiration, sometimes they store food and support and does special functions also. So this is how roots can be modified in different kinds of plants. Okay, so the morphology of the stem, at any point of time, if you have any doubts or anything, just put it in the chat box and I'll for sure try to solve your doubts. Okay, so morphology of the stem, 1 second. Yeah. Okay, so morphology of the stem. Stem is something which actually after the root comes the stem. Okay, so root, what it does, it takes up the water and the minerals and then pushes it up to the stem. Stem is something which makes sure that everything is there in all parts of the plant. You can find everything. Okay, so which lies above from the surface of the soil, and it makes sure that all the food, water, whatever it is present in most of the parts of the plants. And it is negatively geotropic, as it says, it is going up, not down. Okay, it is not working in with the help of the force of the gravity. So it is negatively geotropic. And positively phototropic because it is working towards the sun. Okay, it is going up. It is working towards the source of light. That is why it is positively phototropic. It has nodes and internodes. That is from where the branches and everything comes out. And branches, leaves, and everything that is all coming out. Okay, branches, leaves, flowers, buds, bracts are developed from the nodes. Stem arises from plumule. As I said, when there is a seedling, you plant a seedling, and it gives rise to a radicle and a plumule. Plumule is the one which gives rise to the shoot or the stem. Radicle is the one which gives rise to the root. Okay, and a young green stem is green and is capable of performing photosynthesis. So when it's young, okay, at that time it can perform photosynthesis. Now again, similarly, as we saw in roots, we'll see in stem also, there are modifications. So there is underground stem. Sometimes you can find stems underground also. Okay, and they are rhizomes like ginger and all that. Tuber like potato. Corm like colocasia. Bulbs such as onions. These are some of the stems which are found underground, as in under the soil. Then there is subaerial. Okay, for example, runner, stolon, offset, sucker. These are subaerial. Okay, somewhere on the surface. And finally, there is aerial, which is up. There is tendril, thorn, phylloclad. These are the types of stems. These are, see, these are all not normal stems. Okay, these are all modifications of stems. Somehow or the other, they do the work of the stem. They have some other additional capabilities also. For example, thorn. Thorn is just a small thing in bougainvillea. You can find thorns, small thorns. That is actually a modification of a stem. That is actually a kind of stem which helps in protecting the plant. Okay, phylloclad. Phylloclad is mostly found in xenophytes and everything. So these plants do not have like a proper leaf or something. Instead, they have in the stem is working as a phylloclad. It helps in photosynthesis. Okay, so these are the modifications of the stem. Then there is leaf. Okay, so the leaf is a dorsiventrally compressed lateral appendage of the stem produced at nodes and is specialized to perform photosynthesis. So this is, as I said, this is like the kitchen. Okay, this is like the kitchen of a plant. This is where the photosynthesis is happening. This is where the food is being formed. When it happens, glucose is formed and everything. Okay, so leaf is what is providing the nutrition to all of the plants. Now, leaf is thin, expanded in green structure. We know that. Okay, it has chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the pigment which helps in photosynthesis. It is exogenous in origin. It is born at the stem at the node. From the node, like roots do not have nodes, stems have nodes. From there the branches come out, from there the leaves come out. Okay, an axillary bud is often present in the axil of each leaf, and it has limited growth. Up to some point only it will grow. It is not that leaves will keep growing. No, up to some shape, okay, up to some size only it will grow, and it does not possess an apical bud or regular growing point. As I said, up to some point, a leaf is small when it's growing, is small, and then after it grows up to a limit only it will grow. It won't exceed its growth until and unless there's some modification or something. It won't exceed its growth. Okay. Finally, flower. Okay, so flower is what? Flower is present there for reproduction. Okay, so when we go through, see, plants, they have both kind of reproduction. You can say there is asexual reproduction also, there is sexual reproduction. Or sexual reproduction can be seen in vegetative propagation, etc. Okay, but when it comes to sexual reproduction in plants, that is done with the help of flower. Okay, and flower is basically a highly modified shoot that is meant for sexual reproduction in plants. And now when you take a flower, you can actually divide it into two different sections. Okay, so floral whorls are the parts. Whorls are basically the parts of the flower. Okay, so there is non-essential whorl. Okay, parts which are not really required for reproduction. As I said, flower is basically there for reproduction. So non-essential whorls are basically the parts of the flower which are not essential for reproduction. Okay, and then there is essential, the parts of the plant, parts of the flower which are required for reproduction. Non-essential is calyx, that is the sepals. Okay, they help in protection of the plant. Sometimes they go through photosynthesis, etc. And then there is corolla, that is petal. These are used for, petals are basically used for attracting pollination. Pollination is very much required when it comes to parts of the flower, like reproduction. So petals are something which helps in the pollination, which attracts different kinds of animals, etc. for pollination. So these are, although they help in the reproduction part, but they are basically non-essential. Then there is the essential part. Okay, why is it essential? Because sexual reproduction needs a female gamete and a male gamete. That is given by a female part of the flower and male part of the flower. So what happens? Androecium. Androecium is the one which is the male part of the flower, and gynoecium is the female part of the flower. Okay, so floral whorls, essential, calyx and corolla, non-essential, calyx and corolla, essential, androecium, that is the male part which gives the male gamete, and gynoecium is the female part which gives the female gamete. Then there is fruit. After reproduction, it gives rise to a fruit and everything. So there are fruits that has metamorphosed or ripened ovary without one or more seeds. Okay, seeds is the one which gives rise to a new plant. Fruit is the covering. Okay, so after successful fertilization, an ovary develops into a fruit. Okay, so now sometimes what happens, now they do not require that kind of fertilization, also is sometimes not required. Sometimes what happens, the fertilization will work, like without fertilization also fruits will form, but those fruits, what will have, they won't have any kind of seeds. Now that kind of fruits are known as parthenocarpic fruits, which have no seeds, because fertilization has not happened. And when fertilization has not happened, there won't be any growth of seeds, but the fruits are actually formed. So that is why they are known as parthenocarpic fruits. So when a food is developed exclusively from ovary of a flower, it is called true fruit. For example, mango. Okay. Sometimes other floral plants such as thalamus or receptacle may develop as a part of fruit. Okay. Different parts of the plants are growing into a fruit. Okay. Such fruits are called false fruits or pseudocarps or something. Okay. For example, see, apple, pear, the thalamus grows around the ovary and becomes fleshy to form the main edible part of the fruit. Okay. And the last but not the least, this is one of the most important part. okay, is the floral formula and the floral diagram. So both, all of these, what you have to do is there's a chart in which you can actually refer to. With the help of that, you can go for floral formula. Each and every flower is divided into a family. So you have to see, and with the family, what you get is, with the family, you get the different kinds of formulas. Okay, so various morphological features are used to describe the flowering plant. The description has to be brief and simple and scientific language. There are symbols and everything. Okay, and with that you can say which one has the roots, the stem, the leaves, floral characteristics, everything is put in that formula. Okay, and the floral formula is represented by some symbols, and the diagram, with the help of the diagram only, you can actually figure out the formula. So here you can see what is there. It is a bract, so you put that BR thing. Then it has a calyx or a sepal or something, number of that, corolla, the number of that, how much androecium, how much gynoecium, like that. You have to count, you have to see the diagram, and accordingly, you can actually figure out the formula. Okay, so that's it. So this is what a basic idea, an actual idea, like what actually can come for this thing, because it is a do and die topic. That is why I had put it. Okay, apart from this, there are these are the most important things, talking about leaves, different kinds of leaves, the different kinds of roots, floral formula, everything. These are some things which you have to, if you don't have the time to go through it right now, like exam is there in next 1.5 months, what you have to do is just run through it, and these are some topics which you should not leave. Okay, so in bougainvillea, thorns are the modifications of what? Okay, so bougainvillea is a plant which has some very pretty pink and white flowers, and there are thorns. I just now said, what are thorns? Thorns are the modifications of which part of the plant? Okay, so the answer here is actually the stem. So stem makes a thorn kind of a shape. It's quite prickly, and it is there for actually supportive functions such as protection and all. Okay, next is, how many plants among Indigofera, Sesbania, Salvia, alum, aloe, mustard, groundnut, radish, gram, turnip have stamens with different lengths of the flower? So what you have to do is, each of the plants, okay, what you have to do is figure out the family of each of the plant. Okay, and with that family, when you figure out the family, with that you can actually say which has different length have stamens with different length in the flowers. Okay, so what you have to do, see here, you can actually see what has been done. Indigofera is Fabaceae, Sesbania is Fabaceae, Salvia is Lamiaceae, allium is Liliaceae, aloe is Liliaceae, mustard is Brassicaceae, groundnut is Fabaceae, radish is Brassicaceae, gram is Fabaceae, turnip is Brassicaceae. Okay, so we figured out the number of families and everything. So what you have to do now is count. Okay, what you have to do now is think that have stamens with different lengths in the flowers. Okay, stamens in the flower, different lengths of stamens in the flower means it has to be either Brassicaceae and Lamiaceae. Okay, so Brassicaceae, let's see how many has Brassicaceae. See, 1, 2. Okay, and Lamiaceae is 3, and okay, here also one Brassicaceae is there, 4. So there are basically 4. Okay, so there are basically 4 plants among all of these plants which actually have different lengths, stamens with different lengths in their flowers. So the answer is 4. So what you have to do here is just figure out, you have to remember the floral idea, what kind of family the flowers are from. And from there, you have to remember what are the characteristics of those families, and you have to pick them out. This is actually a difficult question, but this is how you actually answer questions. Okay, next. The wheat grain has an embryo with one large shield-shaped cotyledon known as coleoryza, coleoptile, epiblast, and scutellum. So the answer is scutellum. Scutellum, see here, you can see it is a shield-shaped cotyledon, big one. Okay, This is the scutellum. One large, see, this is larger and is shield-shaped. Okay, so in a cymose inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower, has unlimited growth, but lateral branches end in flowers, whereas a solitary flower has unlimited growth. So cymose inflorescence basically means that it's a very simple inflorescence where the flowers will just get like go and sit in the end of the one, flowers will be end of the branch. Okay, so at the end only, at the termination point only, the flowers will be placed. It's quite a simple thing. Okay, so this is how it looks. See, at the end, at the termination point, you can see the flowers. So in cymose inflorescence, the main axis terminates in the flower. Okay, so that's it for today. Okay, just a small discussion on what can come and what cannot, what you should actually do when it comes to this thing, when it comes to when it comes to morphology in flowering plants. Okay, in the next classes, we'll be discussing about anatomy of flowering plants. We'll be discussing about different. Okay, thank you everyone. Bye-bye.